I watched Disney's latest movie Strangeworld. I couldn't watch it when it was first released, because the country where I was last November banned the movie, due to you know what. But this video is not about it. I watched Strangeworld and I am ready to share my thoughts about the writing and about messages that this movie tries to explore. I think I'm gonna start from the very beginning. The movie establishes the conflict of the story within just the first 6 minutes. Our main character Searcher Quaid and his father Jaeger Quaid, just like the entirety of humanity, seemingly, live in a valley called Avalonia. The impassable mountains encompass the valley from all sides, and no one could ever cross them. Jaeger is obsessed with crossing the mountains. This is his lifelong goal. But his son Searcher doesn't share his father's dream. They find a plant in the mountains which is capable of producing electricity. Searcher immediately realizes the potential of this new plant and wants to return home and share his find with his people. But Jaeger just wants to go forward deeper into the mountains. Their views immediately collide. Jaeger's obsession becomes stronger than his attachment to his family and his community. All that I mentioned happens within the first 6 minutes, or probably even less than that. We don't know these characters, we have very little idea who they are. We as viewers don't care about them yet. But the purpose of this scene is to set up the emotional conflict of the story. Generational trauma. Searcher doesn't want to be an adventurer like his father. He'd rather be a farmer and do something useful for his community instead of conquering the mountains. Later on, Searcher faces the same problem with his 16-year-old son, Ethan. The plant that Searcher found and called Panda literally turned Avalonia from the 1920s, I guess. It was some sort of cyberpunk. Solarpunk would be a better term, I think. Solarpunk with cars and planes, and it all happened in just 25 years. However, despite technological advancement, nobody still can cross the mountains. Searcher's father went missing and never returned home. But Searcher seemingly doesn't even care about him. His father disappeared, but it's fine with Searcher. Even with new futuristic inventions, he never even considered getting back for his father, and the movie doesn't show us any emotional dilemma that Searcher experiences. Doesn't he feel guilty for leaving his dad? What does his mother think? Is it just too much for modern Disney? And so, Searcher has a teen son, and is some sort of local celebrity for discovering a magical plant. One day, however, Panda gets sick, and one of Searcher's old teammates, also the president of Avalonia, shows up and invites Searcher to go with her on an expedition to find out what's wrong with Panda. Why him? The movie really doesn't explain us why Searcher should go. But I guess because he discovered Panda, grows Panda, and knows a lot about Panda. Even though he doesn't like expeditions. The story actually shows us that he didn't have to join an expedition. But he's the main character, the story needs him to be involved in the adventure. The writer of the movie could make him a scientist. Someone who studies Panda, some sort of irreplaceable expert. Would have been a good reason to take Searcher on an expedition. Searcher doesn't actually want to leave the family, but he is forced to butch for a greater cause. His teenage son isn't happy, obviously, that his father is not taking him. Ethan does like adventures and expeditions much more so than working on a farm. Generational conflict, one of the main themes of the movie. One of my problems with the movie is that no one really wants to explore what's beyond the mountains, even with all the technological advancement. After Searcher returned without Jaeger, it seems like nobody attempted to go on an expedition again. Very convenient for our main plot twist. We don't know much about Avalonia anyway. We don't know much about its human population. Is it just one city? How big is it? How many people live there? The movie doesn't focus on this anyway, so I think it's okay. But it could focus on Avalonia just a little more, of course. Concept arts look pretty fascinating. I would love to see more of this futuristic world, which does look interesting, but is mostly just a decoration. Expedition goes deep into the bowels of the earth until our characters find themselves in some bizarre underworld. Obviously, Ethan sneaks into the ship like the girl from the Sea Beast. His mother comes to bring him back, and the whole family ends up in this strange world. This strange world does look amazing though. People who designed it and people who worked on animation really cared about their work. Family members get separated, and watching their separate adventures was not really that interesting, unfortunately. A lot of attempts at humor, but mostly poor attempts, to be honest. This movie is not funny, and that is Disney's problem now. Their movies simply can't be serious anymore. They didn't used to be like this in the past. It feels like Disney can't let children feel anxious or scared even for a single minute. This is pretty annoying most of the time. Almost all new Disney movies have a cute pet character. A chameleon, a rooster, doesn't matter. The only movie that doesn't have it is Zootopia, where all the characters are anthropomorphic animals anyway. Strange World has this too. In this movie it's literally strangely shaped blob. I understand why these characters are needed, because well, Disney wants to sell merch. That's their job, to make people buy their products. If you thought the Strange World would be focusing on Searcher and Ethan, in the 28th minute Searcher finds his long-lost father, Jaeger. I have this idea for the movie. I'm not saying it's better than the actual movie, just something I came up with while working on the script. After returning home with Pando, Searcher is mentally suffering because he abandoned his dad, practically leaving him alone in the dangerous mountains, where anyone can easily perish. Searcher's fears, however, stop him from going back to the mountains. As time passes, Searcher convinces himself that it's his father's recklessness to blame for disappearance. Searcher tries to raise Ethan as a humble farmer, without any big ambitions, so he would be safe and sound in Avalonia. But Ethan loves adventures and is more like his grandfather than Searcher. Eventually, Searcher learns to accept his son as he is. The movie delivers this message, but in a different way. We really know nothing about what happened in 25 years. How Jaeger survived, what he ate, how he managed to maintain a flamethrower in a working condition. What he ate is an important question though. When all family members get together, the journey finally starts being really interesting. I think the movie runs forward too fast at the beginning, the first 15 minutes or so, but then the story drags down sensible for about 20 minutes. I enjoy the interaction between the characters, Jaeger, Searcher and Ethan, but it still feels weird to me that Jaeger is not mad at Searcher for never trying to find him and just settling comfortably on the farm. There was an opportunity for an emotional dilemma, which would have made the generational conflict between the characters even stronger. The whole underworld looks fantastic, and I enjoyed it greatly. I guess I was kinda slow not to realize that all the time it was a living creatures inside. Really enjoyed this cool twist. This scene with the giant turtle eye is truly breathtaking. This is when the characters and I realize they live on a huge turtle. And so I'll ask again, how did Jaeger Clade survive literally inside of a giant turtle? Was Jaeger slowly eating the turtle from the inside? Generational trauma is just one problem this movie wants to talk about. Another one is an environmental message, very important these days. Pando, which provides the human population in Avalonia with electricity and practically put Avalonia from the early 20th century into some sort of solar punk era, is actually a disease that's slowly killing a turtle from the inside. Panda is obviously a metaphor for the oil and fossil fuel industry in general, which greatly contributes to the overall warming of our planet. The change of climate is a natural thing, but current climate change is not, and is a direct result of human activity. Panda fuels vehicles and everything else in Avalonia, just like oil and natural gas in the real world. The parallel is obvious, and just like Panda is slowly but surely killing the turtle on which everyone lives, climate change is having its devastating effect on Earth's atmosphere. And it'll be getting worse and worse. July 2023 is already the hottest month in recorded history. July 6th was the hottest day on which the average global temperature was 17.08 degrees Celsius. So I really appreciate the environmental message of the movie, which I think it handled better than the generational trauma message. The last scene with the giant turtle is breathtaking. Seriously, whoever came up with the concept deserves some praise. The movie in general was way more enjoyable than I expected. Sure, it has problems with writing and it could be more stylized like the beginning. I think animation could be more creative. But the concept of this movie and the ideas it was trying to convey are very interesting. Strange World is certainly worth attention.